What's going on, everyone? I hope you're having an awesome day so far, and welcome back to another episode of Chuck's Customs. In the last episode, you saw me start the four-wheel drive conversion and give Bessie a nice butt lift. Now, we're gonna go ahead and lift up the front. So let's not waste any more time and jump right into it. Roll the intro. Before I continue this video, let me just say, I do not condone nor recommend you do what I am doing right now. The only reason I'm doing it is because I don't really have any other choice. I need to flip the oil pan, so that way it's a front sump instead of a rear sump. But in order to do that, I need to take this cross member out. I also need to replace that cross member with a slimmer one because it's way too thick and my suspension is just gonna smash right into it if it articulates at all. So, in order to do that, I need to first remove the cross member, then take the oil pan out, flip it, and then build a new cross member. While I'm doing that, I need to support the engine. This jack stand and that jack stand are currently what's holding the engine up right now. The truck is, it's still being held up pretty good, but this is just gonna stop that 1,100 pound engine from falling on my head and crushing it like a grape. So, will it work? I don't know. I hope so. I really hope so. Like I said, the only reason I'm doing it is because I have to. And I literally don't know what else I could do aside from taking the engine out of the truck, which I don't really have the means to do right now because I can't roll the truck forward with no front tires or suspension. Like I kind of backed myself into a corner and screwed myself here. But we're gonna try it out anyway. But please, for the love of God, do not do this at home. I already feel bad enough that I'm doing it. And if I die, I'm sorry if I disappointed any of you. Here goes nothing. Alrighty everyone, I genuinely hate to say it, but I'm gonna have to end the video here. I don't want to. It was really my goal to end the video with it driving down the street and being a completed successful build. But unfortunately, I ended up selling my house, and today's Tuesday and I need to be out of here by Friday. And there's still some stuff to button up on the truck, like I gotta figure out where to mount these remote reservoirs, bleed the brakes, all that stuff. But specifically, the drive shafts won't be done until Friday at the earliest. So I'm probably gonna have to get Bessie towed somewhere so that she can sit and wait for that. But there was a few issues with that steering setup that you just watched me build that I had to fix. So real quick, before I end the video, I'm just gonna walk you through what things needed to be changed and what parts I had to order to make everything work. So what you saw me build a few moments ago was a tensioner that pressed in on the chain and used a really stiff spring to pull it inward. I found out after the fact that the sprocket was kind of cockeyed, so it was causing a bunch of binding issues, but more importantly, that spring just was not tight enough. It was the tightest one I could find, but it just wouldn't work. The moment you would try to turn the wheel, it would put too much tension on that tensioner, and it would just pull the spring right out and cause even more binding issues. So in order to remedy that, I moved the tensioner to this side, gave it a more solid mounting position, and now it pushes out on the chain. And instead of a spring, I'm using this solid bar to just hold it in place. And it's got a pretty decent amount of tension on it. So it's not too loose, it's not too tight, it's right where I want it to be. I also didn't like how this only had one plate coming down. It just didn't seem stiff enough for me, so I added another plate on this side, solid welded it the whole way around, and now it's really good and stiff. So now that that issue is cleared up, I was all excited, got in the truck, went to turn the wheels, and when I turned the wheel right, the wheels went left. And obviously when I turned the wheel left, the wheels went right. Because the steering box is not only cockeyed, it's also backwards. And I didn't even think about that for some reason. But thankfully, I got a hold of AGR Steering Performance in Texas, and they're building me an identical box to this one, but with reverse rotation. That way it'll fix all the bugs that I have as far as that goes. I'm also gonna have one with 2 hydraulic ports that will come out so we can run hydraulic lines up to a cylinder that sits on the front of the axle and gives hydraulic assist. So that steering pivot that you saw me build and install didn't quite work the way I hoped it would. Here it is. As you can see, the way it was mounted was kind of like this, where the pivot point was right here. This arm came off to the side and hooked to the high steer on the wheel. I had the connecting rod for the pitman arm hook up to here, but it was just way too much of an angle for that connecting rod, so I ended up moving it to here. Only problem is when you tried to turn, that rod needed to push this forward and it would bind on this plate. So turning left would be inhibited by that. I could have cut this out, but ultimately I don't think it would have worked anyway, because like I said, it's mounted like this. So when you go to turn this way and this rod needs to push on the high steer, look what happens. It starts to suck it back in. So ultimately this design did not work at all. Also, it was mounted way too far to this side. I had this 1-inch grade 8 bolt. I welded it to this plate of steel and just welded it solid on top. But again, it was just too far to the side. It was causing way too much drag in that connecting rod, and I didn't like it. So I figured when I redesigned the pivot, I was also going to relocate it to a better position. Now you can see here it looks much nicer. I ended up taking a piece of Schedule 80 pipe, walled out the inside a little bit so that way this grade 8 bolt can sit down inside of it. Solid welded it the whole way around, really hot, so I got good penetration. And then same thing down here. I just welded it real hot, got good penetration, and she's nice and sturdy. And now here is the new pivot. Beautiful. And it sits just like this. So here's your pivot point. Here's where your link connects to the high steer. You have full articulation. It doesn't try to wrap back around or anything like that. That's great. Also, because I moved the pivot point over, I was able to keep this in the same location to where it's not binding from too much angle, and it also doesn't have anything in the way, but it's still really solid. So I put it on, tested it out. It works perfect. And before I end the video, I'm gonna reinstall this, hook everything up, that way you can see it working as well. The next episode you're gonna see is gonna be me rebuilding this Dana 60. I ended up filming a separate episode for it. We got a sponsor and it came out fantastic. And then hopefully very soon after that episode comes out, you're gonna see me putting on the new steering box, installing the hydraulic assist, putting the drive shafts in, and seeing how she rides down the road. So with that being said, if you liked what you saw, go ahead and show that thumbs up button some love. If you didn't like what you saw, or you have questions or concerns, let me know in the comments section. I'd love to hear from you guys. And if you want to see what we're getting into in the next episode, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss it. So again, thank you so much everyone for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time on another episode of Chuck's Customs.